Karen tried to get delivery driver arrested, but she gave the wrong address. The delivery van's engine was still humming when Karen stormed out of her split-level suburban palace. Her phone already pressed to her ear, voice slicing through the quiet evening like a serrated knife. Yes, officer, he's here. He's trespassing, harassing me, and I demand you arrest him now. Her bleach blonde bob bounced with every furious step, her eyes locked on the young delivery driver, Jamal, who stood frozen by his van, a pizza box trembling in his hands. Jamal, barely 22, had been delivering for 3 months to make ends meet while studying for his nursing degree. He glanced at the address on his phone again, 1423 Maple Drive, then at the house number on Karen's mailbox, 1423. He triple-checked. The order was for a large pepperoni, extra cheese, paid online, but Karen wasn't having it. "You're at the wrong house," she shrieked, now off the phone and marching toward him. "I didn't order any pizza, and you're scaring my kids." Her voice dripped with venom, but Jamal noticed no kids in sight, no toys in the yard, no small faces at the windows. Just Karen, her rage, and a growing audience of neighbors peeking through curtains. "I'm sorry, ma'am," Jamal said, his voice steady but tight. "The order says 1423 Maple Drive. This is 1423, right?" He held up his phone, but Karen swatted the air as if he'd offered her a live snake. "Don't you dare talk back to me," she snapped. "You people always get it wrong. And now you're loitering on my property. I'm calling the police back." She dialed again, her manicured nails clicking against the screen. Jamal's stomach churned. He'd heard stories about drivers getting into trouble over nothing. But this was his first run-in with someone like her. As Karen ranted into her phone, pacing her pristine lawn, Jamal tried to explain. "Ma'am, I can show you the order details. It's right here." "Shut up," she cut him off. "You're probably trying to scam me. I know your type." The words hit like a slap, and Jamal's jaw tightened. He wanted to walk away, but his boss's voice echoed in his head. Never leave a delivery unresolved. Customers always right. Even when they were dead wrong, the situation escalated faster than Jamal could process. Karen's accusations grew wilder. She claimed he'd been lurking around her house for hours, that he'd threatened her, that he'd damaged her property. She pointed to her flower bed, where a single petunia lay crushed, as if it were evidence of a crime scene. "Look at this, you did this," she screamed. Though Jamal hadn't stepped foot off the driveway, neighbors started stepping onto their porches, phones out, recording. A few whispered to each other, their expressions a mix of curiosity and discomfort. Then came the twist. Mrs. Delgado, the elderly woman from across the street, hobbled out with her cane, her face a storm cloud. She'd lived on Maple Drive for 40 years and had seen plenty, but Karen was a new kind of trouble. "Karen, you stop this nonsense right now, Mrs. Delgado barked, her voice surprisingly strong for her frail frame. "That boy's just doing his job. You've been yelling about deliveries at the wrong house for weeks." Karen spun around, her face reddening. "Stay out of this." "Maria, this doesn't concern you, but Mrs. Delgado wasn't backing down. She turned to Jamal, her eyes softening. "Son, you delivered my meds last week. You're a good kid. Don't let her bully you." Jamal nodded, grateful but still uneasy. Karen's lies were piling up, and the police were on their way. He could feel the weight of every neighbor's stare. Every phone camera pointed his way. He wanted to leave, but his feet felt glued to the asphalt. What if the cops believed her? What if this cost him his job or worse, minutes later? A patrol car rolled up, its lights flashing silently. Officer Daniels, a tired-looking man in his 40s, stepped out, his notepad already open. Karen wasted no time. "Officer, this man's been harassing me, trespassing, destroying my property." She gestured wildly at the flower bed, now claiming Jamal had trampled her entire garden. She even pointed to her decorative fountain, which had a small crack in its base, insisting he'd broken it. "I want him arrested." Jamal's heart pounded, He tried to stay calm, showing Officer Daniels his phone with the order details. "Sir, I'm just delivering a pizza. The address matches. I haven't touched anything." Daniel squinted at the phone, then at Karen. "Ma'am, let's calm down. You say this isn't your order?" "Absolutely not," Karen huffed. "I don't even eat pizza. It's unhealthy." That's when another twist hit. A teenage girl, maybe 16, burst out of Karen's house. Her face flushed with embarrassment. "Mom, stop it," she yelled. "I ordered the pizza. I used Dad's card online." The air seemed to freeze. Karen's mouth opened, then closed, her face a mix of shock and fury. "Lila, what are you talking about?" she hissed. But the girl Lila stood her ground. "I was hungry. Okay, you were at your book club, and I didn't want to cook. I ordered it to our address, 14123 Maple Drive." Lila's voice cracked, and she looked at Jamal, her eyes apologetic. "I'm so sorry. She does this all the time." The neighbors gasped. Mrs. Delgado shook her head, muttering, "Told you." Officer Daniels raised an eyebrow, his pen pausing over his notepad. Karen, however, doubled down. "That's not true. She's lying to cover for him," she insisted, pointing at Jamal. But her voice faltered, and the crowd's murmurs grew louder. Daniels sighed, turning to Karen. "Ma'am, if your daughter ordered the pizza, there's no trespassing here. Let's see some ID from both of you, and we'll sort this out." Jamal handed over his driver's license, his hands shaking slightly. Karen fumbled with her purse, still muttering about scammers and injustice. But as Daniels reviewed the order details on Jamal's phone, he noticed something odd. "Wait a minute," he said, his brow furrowing. "The address on the order is 1423 Maple Drive, but the delivery instructions say, leave at the back door. Did you go to the back?" "Son, no, sir," Jamal replied. "She came out before I could even get out of the van." Daniels turned to Karen. "Ma'am, your back door faces Elm Street, doesn't it? That's technically 14223 Elm Street for deliveries. Happens all the time with corner lots like yours. You gave the app the wrong address." The crowd erupted in whispers. Karen's face went from red to ghostly white. That's ridiculous," she stammered. "This is my house." He's still in the wrong, but the evidence was stacking against her. Lila, now near tears, admitted she'd entered the address wrong in the app, confusing Maple Drive with Elm Street because of the corner lot. The pizza was meant for their back entrance, but Karen's paranoia had turned a simple mix-up into a public spectacle. The crushed petunia, likely from Karen's own pacing. The cracked fountain. Mrs. Delgado piped up again, saying she'd seen Karen's gardener bump it with a lawnmower days ago. Officer Daniels closed his notepad. "Ma'am, there's no crime here, just a misunderstanding. I suggest you take the pizza and let this young man get back to work." Karen's jaw dropped. "You're not going to do anything he could have been dangerous?" Daniels didn't flinch. "If anyone's causing a disturbance, it's you. False reports waste our time. You're lucky I'm not citing you for that." The neighbors' whispers turned to chuckles. Karen's carefully curated image, perfect lawn, perfect house, perfect life was crumbling. Lila grabbed the pizza box from Jamal, apologizing again. "I'll pay you back for this," she whispered. Jamal just nodded, too drained to respond. As Jamal climbed back into his van, the crowd dispersed, some shaking their heads, others openly laughing. Mrs. Delgado gave him a thumbs up, her face beaming with quiet pride. Karen stood alone on her lawn, her phone still in hand, her rage deflated into humiliation. The fountain gurgled pathetically behind her, a fitting metaphor for her unraveling. Jamal drove off, the pizza's warmth still lingering in his van. He'd dodged a bullet, but the sting of Karen's words, "you people, your type," hung heavy. He wondered how many others had faced her wrath, how many hadn't been lucky enough to have a Lila or a Mrs. Delgado to set things right. Back at home, Karen's neighbors didn't let it go. By morning, the story was all over the local Facebook group, complete with shaky phone videos. Karen tries to arrest innocent delivery driver became the talk of Maple Drive, and her complaints about noisy kids or untidy lawns suddenly carried no weight. Her book club even postponed their next meeting at her house. Lila, mortified but emboldened, started a group chat with other teens on the block, vowing to call out their parents' nonsense. Mrs. Delgado, meanwhile, left a glowing review for Jamal's delivery service, tipping him $20 on his next drop-off. As for Jamal, he kept delivering, kept studying, kept moving forward, but he never forgot that night, the night Karen's lies backfired, exposing her for who she was. And somewhere, deep down, he hoped she'd learn something, even if her pride would never let her admit it. What do you think? Was Karen's outburst just a mistake? Or did she get what she deserved? Share your thoughts below. Word count 3,000.